I'm Jeff Stormer, and I host Party of One, an actual play podcast focused on two-player role-playing experiences. Every week, I sit down with a friend.
J.R. Goldberg.
Alvaro, a.k.a. Wormtooth, formerly MC Blackwolf.
Danny Costello.
My name's Rich Howard.
I'm Sharung Biswas.
We play a two-player role-playing game, we share some laughs.
An absolute blast to play.
It was a delight to run my game with someone who got so into it.
It was so easy to do.
Seeing the creativity just blossom right in front of my eyes.
Maybe a few tears.
I've never had a game make me question my previously staunch moral compass.
Jeff makes the greatest serial killer.
And we have a really good time.
It's a great way to take a chance on a new role-playing game.
Truly exemplifies what is wonderful about a game with just two people driving the narrative together.
You can find new episodes every Tuesday at partyofonepodcast.com.
Hey, guess what? I got something super special for you today, because today in the Rat Hole, we are live.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is...
Oh, it'd be nice if I can turn that off, huh? One of these days I'll remember to do that before everything. Heaven forbid we should have a start. There we go! Hello, Internet! My name is Paparazzo Dave Chapman, and we're live in the Rat Hole. For anyone who was trying to get in and watch us a couple hours ago, sorry about that. We had a few unexpected derailments. But I'm back. We are live, and I have an amazing guest for you. Mr. Jeff Stormer of the Party of One podcast. How you doing today, Jeff?
Hello, I am doing wonderfully. How are you doing today?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous. It has been just a crazy busy day, so.
Oh, you are telling me.
Yeah. So we'll leave all of our day behind. Take a breath.
Put it in the past.
We'll have an eggnog.
Hell yeah. You know I'm excited about that.
Oh, yes. We'll come back to that for sure.
You know we will.
But we'll take a breath. And why don't we start with just introduce yourself, Jeff. Tell us, what you do, what your background is in gaming.
Absolutely. My name is Jeff Stormer. I am a podcaster, game designer, and the official LARP designer of the Olive Garden restaurant. I am the host of Party of One, which is an actual play podcast focused on two-player role-playing experiences. I am also a co-host on All My Fantasy Children, which is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast powered by role-playing games and listener prompts. And I am a game designer. I recently, it has been a year. Oh my God, it has been a full year. Released Anyone Can Wear the Mask, which is a superhero role-playing game for 1 to 3 players. And I do a bunch of other things, but those are kind of the big ones, except for the Eggnog podcast, which I guess we'll talk about a little later.
Yeah, let's just talk about it now. Why not?
Why not?
Tell us about Talking Nog.
Talking Nog is a yearly tradition honoring a yearly tradition. It is a once a year or maybe twice a year if I decide to do one in July podcast about eggnog. We answer listener questions. We look at listener photos. We share listener stories. And we explore the past, present, and future of everyone's favorite eggy, creamy, boozy, spicy Yuletide treat. It is, I believe, the world's only eggnog exclusive podcast, and therefore, that makes me the world authority on the matter. Like, I believe I am the most decorated eggnog podcaster, and therefore, what I say, I believe, is law.
I believe I am totally down for that. I think that's before the ruler.
There's no one to challenge me, so I can just say whatever I like.
There we go. Brandon seems to agree.
See, Brandon knows. Brandon gets it.
Yep. Your chicken milk, as the French would say.
My dear Canadian friends calling it chicken milk. I recognize that with all of my heart, and it fills my heart with glee.
Yay! All right, back to games.
Back to games.
So yeah, you do a whole lot of stuff.
Busy man.
You are, and a lot of it now at least focuses on indie games.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on. For those who are not regular readers over at the Rat Hole, why are you not? We have been doing the RPG Blog Carnival for November with a theme of indie games. So various bloggers around the tabletop world have been writing about indie games, and we've been reposting them. But I play different games than what you do, Jeff. You do play the games I play. I loved that you had Feng Shui 2 on in some of your early shows, Doctor Who role-playing game. But now you focus more on the smaller stuff, a little bit more of the storytelling games. What turns you on to this sort of very indie games?
I just think there's a lot of really like compelling storytelling experiences that can be had. Like I think we're seeing, and they really like games are in an interesting place right now where like I think people are really like making things and creating gameplay experiences that are really like beautiful and exciting, and I want to tell as many different kinds of stories as I can, right? Like it's my favorite thing to do, to just sit down and tell a story. And so I love spotlighting new and interesting games and telling stories in ways that like are separate and different than sort of the things that you'd expect. And I love seeing like where we can take like role-playing games as an art form and as an experience and like as a shared sort of play experience. It's a thing that like fills my heart, and it excites me. Like I've been doing this for 6+ years now, and so getting a chance to really like see what else is out there, really like explore the whole range of games out in the world is one of like is one of the most gratifying things about the work that I do. And the thing that I'm always after is to play a game and tell a story in a way that I've never done before. And so that has taken me down some really like fun and interesting pathways into some games that I think are doing some really bold and innovative things.
Definitely. I have a definite love for your episode 300 because 6 years.
Close
yep,
to my
that
heart.
takes you to 300 freaking episodes.
300. I stared at that number. I go and stare at that number sometimes. Like specifically, like when I go to release an episode, sometimes I will look at the numbers that I attach to the title and just go, "Holy
Did I
cow,
get that right?
is!" Yeah, I'm like, that can't be. Like I have to like go to an old episode and be like, yeah, oh my god, well that's where we're at. I can't believe it. It is continues to blow my mind on a weekly basis.
I almost couldn't listen to that one driving. I was just rolling in laughter at points in that.
That particular game made me so happy. It was exactly what I wanted it to be. It was a perfect celebration for, hey, we've been doing this thing for so long. Let's just have the most fun that two people can have on a microphone together. Like, I think it turned out exactly the way that I'd hoped it would.
I could go on about it for some time, but tell everyone who's watching what happened on 300.
So, Party of One episode 300 was the Party of One 30 for 300 commemorative Royal Rumble. It was a challenge for the Party of One World Championship, which is the most prestigious title belt in podcasting. And I had my dear friend, frequent Party of One guest, Riley Hopkins, come on. They and I played Rumble by Tracy Barnett, which is a Royal Rumble role-playing game. And we took 30 characters from previous Party of One episodes, all of whom were professional wrestlers. And we had a Rumble in which every entrant was either a character from an episode of Party of One or a character from like an adjacent podcast, like a guest appearance I had done or the other podcasts that I produce. With the goal being, as a Royal Rumble is meant to do, the winner will receive a title shot at a time to be determined for the Party of One World Championship. And it was delightful. I mean, as a big wrestling fan, we kind of hit on the exact sort of energy that I wanted out of wrestling and out of a Royal Rumble specifically. It made me unbelievably happy. It was everything that I wanted it to be and then some.
As a wrestling fan, I agree.
It filled my heart. Like, the Royal Rumble is probably my favorite match type. It is the thing that got me into wrestling. It is like the first like really proper like thing that I remember being like this rules, this rips. And like it just turned out like perfect and amazing, and I'm really happy with how it shook out.
And it says a lot about, I mean, your love of that industry, given that you were able to pull out 30 characters.
Oh yeah,
from previous shows of wrestlers.
We played a lot of them over the years. Like it is a topic that I keep coming back to, and I keep coming back to it specifically because I make this show for me, and I don't give a damn what anybody else thinks. So I keep coming back to it and saying like there's a new wrestling game, I'm gonna play it. Like if people like it, great, but I'm not really playing it for you at this point. So when I really sat down and had the idea, like I was thinking about like what can I do for 300 episodes, like, and specifically what the full story is like I was thinking like what can I do for 300 episodes? I like to do like big things for the milestone episodes. And I was like, what's the thing I can do? And I'd been watching a lot of ESPN's 30 for 30. I was like 30 for 30, 30 for 300. Royal Rumble. There it is. And like I had to like seek out, and eventually like Tracy, who is an incredible game designer and a dear friend, they and I were speaking about, like, I had tweeted this and they responded like a week later, like, hey, I made you a game. Like, I made you this game that is about Royal Rumbles. And I was like, oh, well, then I guess that locks in what we're playing on the show. It's perfect. All right, we're done. We're good. I don't have to seek out this game anymore. And then bless Riley Hopkins with all of their heart. Like he and I were like an absolute last minute recording. Like I had asked one of the things about that episode for people listening is I asked like a bunch of people that had played wrestling themed games on the show previously to cut a promo as their character. And I had asked Riley, and Riley delivered like 3 variations on a promo for me because I was going to record with another guest. And at the very last minute, like there was a scheduling thing. We had to reschedule. The guest like couldn't make it work. So I messaged Riley, like, I think it might've been the day before we recorded. And I was like, hey, absolute last minute thing. I have to release this episode next week. Like, we have just released episode 299. I cannot wait on this recording. Can you record with me for this episode? And they jumped at the opportunity, and it was it could not have worked out better because they were the perfect guest for that episode as an actual backyard wrestler. Like, they were the perfect person to come in and just tell the story that we told. And the energy that the two of us have when we play games together is something to behold.
It really is. That's something I love about. Actually, before I say that, I'm gonna pull this up just because I pulled it out of my thing. I don't know if you've played this before.
I have not played that before.
I've reviewed the whole series, obviously, which is why I have it here. And they've got it's grown a lot. Luchador Way of the Mask, Spartacus Publishing.
Mm-hmm.
So you could take a look at that.
I will.
This is a lot. It's one of those. This should be one book, not 5.
Right.
But that's the way they had to release it.
For sure.
I think you will really enjoy this. And if not, well, then you can tell me I'm full of it.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate the permission one way or the other. I appreciate that.
I am always happy to have someone tell me I'm full of it, because I quite often am full of it.
That I appreciate that. That's self-awareness is a very important thing.
It's true. So yeah, like what I about to say before I interrupted myself was the energy, not just in that show, but just in every one of your shows. You are just so there. Like, you are so excited to play these games that it's just, as a listener, even if it's a game that I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to want to like this game. I want to listen and find out how it goes just because of your passion. And obviously your guests as well. So it's really such a neat experience. I don't do a lot of actual play podcasts and video. I just don't have the time.
Sure.
So it's, coming across this was just one of those, oh, okay, no, I like this. Yeah, okay.
That fills me with joy. That fills me with an absolute joy.
but when I first found, I think it was a Renaissance gamer. It was Brent, one of my writers, that I think turned me on to you. And then 6 months later, said, "Hey Brent, do you know this guy? Oh yeah, you introduced me, right?" But and I think that it was just before Christmas. Like I said, I was telling you before, it was just about this time last year, and I went back through the years and Christmas episode, because that is one of the beautiful things is you do a great, you take your time off, which is important.
Yep, we gotta take. I mean, we so this is actually the first year we've traditionally not taken. We're taking December off this year. We're not releasing any episodes. I have to finish an episode and put it out tonight after this recording. But after that, we're taking December off, except for the Christmas episode, which we do every year with my dear friend Brandon, who's in the chat right now. Hi, Brandon.
Brandon.
Brandon and I play a Christmas game every year. It is a tradition that I look forward to all year round because it's just like I get to sit down with one of my best friends and like play a game for an hour. It's a special experience. But this year, like properly, like so we took off for a month, January of 2021. Like we took off for a month for some mental health stuff, and I kind of just realized I was like I hadn't taken a month off from producing the show in forever. So like I was like, I'm just gonna take off more often and periodically just like put in a month and say like, hey, I'm not releasing an episode this month. And I kind of looked at the schedule and I was like, look, like truth be told, not to get into how the sausage is made, but I was like, listen numbers are always in the toilet in December. Like nobody's listening to podcasts. We're all like going and doing like end of year things and like. I was like, so why am I bending over backwards to release a bunch of podcasts in December? I'm just gonna not for the month record a bunch of stuff, get ahead on the backlog, so I get all of January and February locked and loaded, and just like give myself my Monday nights back and like actually be allowed to like sit around and play games, not for hashtag content. But the one thing that I was certain when I made that decision, I was like, I don't want to give up this treasured tradition. So we're still going to do a Christmas holiday episode. It's just that's going to be the only the only episode between tonight, tomorrow morning, and the end of the year, or like the 10th of January technically, because I'm not trying to. Like, I'm not going to edit a podcast over New Year's weekend, so we're going to skip the 3rd and just start releasing on the 10th.
That makes perfect. That's roughly when we'll probably be back as well. So it's
you gotta give yourself some time. Like this is creator Jeff putting on his creator hat and saying like I kind of had this realization like 2019-ish, like a couple years ago. I was talking to a podcaster and they had said something that like I think is a respectable thing, and I don't want to yuck anybody's yum or throw shade on anybody's hustle, but like this particular person we're having a conversation and they were like, look, I have not missed an episode. Like I have never missed or released in X amounts of years or whatever. Like we've been consistent for 2 or 3 years now. And I said that and I was like, oh yeah, same. And then I paused for a second and thought about it. And I was like, you know what? Like I'm my own boss, right? Like Jen and I, my partner, Jen Frank, producer of the show, like the two of us make this thing, right? The two of us are the sole production force behind the show. So as far as I'm concerned, like the two of us are the boss, like the final word.
Yeah.
I was like, so I am my own boss. And I thought about it and I was like, if I accepted a job from somebody else and they had said you are going to get 0 weeks off in a year, well, then I'm just going to walk out of that interview. Like, I'm not staying. I'm like, okay, you know what? You have a great day. You have fun. Like, and so I was like, you know what? Like, that was kind of a moment where I was like, I'm giving myself enough weeks off in a year that like, were I to accept this as a full-time job, like we're like, treating this like the job that I want instead, like the job that I would love to have. And so saying like, all right, we're going to give myself like 4 or 6 weeks off a year and we'll see how it goes, and just be like that way I'm giving myself the vacation time that I deserve as an employee of myself. It's about being a good boss for yourself,
I very much know. I try to do the same here, and it just you gotta take that time for yourself. It's super important, and there's no better time of the year to do it than basically right now.
Yeah, right. Like it's kind of it's it's a good time of year. It's quiet, like things are winding down. Things are
I wouldn't
winding.
necessarily call that quiet.
That's fair. No, that's fair. It's it's quiet in a professional sense. Like things are like the work, the hustle, the hashtag hustle, hashtag grind culture is kind of like winding down. Like, and it's like if I can, sneak out a few weeks of quiet and actually put my energy into the stuff that I'd rather be playing around with, I think like it's a good time to kind of sit down and do that.
Yes, Jen certainly likes that too.
Yeah, I think it's a
She
good
agrees.
it's a good energy. It's a good thing. It's a good goal. And I feel like it's really, I think, something that I'm trying to hold myself more to, because I think it's important. And I think, like, honestly, I do think it, like, looking over the last year, looking over 2021, like, as it relates to the podcast itself, like, I think you can genuinely look at the stuff that we did, and like you can kind of, I think you can kind of hear, I personally, having edited most of them, or having edited half of the episodes, I think you can hear the moment that like we took the month off, and I think that it made for a better podcast. Like, I think the work after we came back is better, and I think I sound refreshed, and I think the energy is solid.
Yeah. No, and Jen, she runs a wonderful business herself. I hope you're taking your own advice.
Take some time off.
Take some time off.
We're gonna bully you right now. This is now a bullying stream. We're gonna bully you into taking time off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, no, that's
Let's get him.
no. Oh.
All right, fine.
All right. We'll be very nice and just highly recommend you take your own advice. We are cute and adorable, or something.
Something like that. I don't know.
Something like that. So we were here to talk games, and we
in theory,
in
you know?
theory. That's the joy of this show. Yeah, that's the direction I really did expect from her. And what? We got. There you go.
All right,
taking time
good,
off,
yeah.
starting you up. Yeah,
Good. Glad to hear it. Good to hear.
I'm wondering, Jen, are you a football fan? It's the end of real football up here on December 12th, which is kind of late. It's the Grey Cup. It's Canadian football, the Super Bowl. So I was like making fun of my sister, whose birthday is on December 12th, going, "You're gonna have a football themed birthday party with all," she doesn't like football. Maybe with all your husband's friends.
See, ours is just now kicking up. Like, I think we're a few weeks into the season and gotta ride it through until February, and then just be sad because the Eagles didn't make it. That's as is the tradition in Philadelphia. I'm gonna, we start the season and we say this is our year, and then one time it was our year, and then every other time since then and before then, it's been like, all right, it's our year, and then it is thoroughly not our year.
Yeah. It's sports.
Yeah. I genuinely love sports, and I love Philly sports, and I just wish Philly sports didn't hurt me in the way that it does all the time.
I follow Quidditch and roller derby. That's my sportsing.
Fair.
But no, it's real Thanksgiving is in October, and real football usually ends in November.
Well, listen, I had a great time. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the sign off button.
Okay, that's fair. I was too mean.
No, I appreciate it.
So, tell us a little bit more. You do a lot, like I said. We were saying you do a lot of story games. Tell people who may not be familiar with that kind of a style of game, what is that? I played, for the person who goes, I've played Dungeons and Dragons and I throw dice at the table and things explode. Tell them what the big difference is.
For that person, the thing that I would say for that person in particular, I've played Dungeons and Dragons my whole life, and like I like that experience. I would say, you remember that time that you had a really kick-ass session and you didn't roll a single dice the whole time, and you just like played your character and told a story together? Remember that amazing session that you had that you love telling me about that amazing session where you didn't touch the mechanics just once? the best storytelling games are games that just like allow for that. They are a set of rules and guidelines that like take that experience where it's like, oh, we had this amazing session where we just ran a bed and breakfast for a session. Like we moved into the inn and we ran a bed and breakfast. And we said, okay, what if there was a set of rules that just allowed you to run a magical bed and breakfast? And like, and what if the only rule was when you invite a guest in, describe how something goes wrong? Like, what if you didn't have to, what if there were no, what if that session that you had that you didn't pick up the dice and you just told this particular story? What if the only rules that you interacted with were truly, when this happens, this other thing happens, or when you reach this point, tell this particular part of the story? And it opens up new possibilities for telling the kinds of stories that, for a lot of people playing games, myself included, in a big way, like I was already kind of doing those things, right? Like I can tell you, as somebody that played D&D for a very long time, like I was somebody that that had a lot of sessions where it was like, okay, this is the game that we're playing, but really what we're doing is this. And I think, the storytelling games that I truly love, the games that I think are super interesting, are ones that bring you to a particular place and give you a particular set of tools and open up a very specific possibilities. And like that to me is like the greatest thing, to be like, not only can you tell a particular story, right? Like not only can you open up the possibility of telling a story, maybe one that you never really thought of telling before, or one that you already were kind of excited to tell, but you weren't sure the best way to like make it work, and say, okay, here's a light, easy set of rules that allows us to sit down and tell the story and like commit to these rules. And also an opportunity to say, oh, I never even thought that we could tell that story. Like, there are so many games that I've played that have presented to me a possibility that have said, like, okay, this is what our game is about. This is the thing that we're telling. And if you go, oh my gosh, I didn't even know. Or like a game, like I've played so many games that with nothing but, I say this with nothing but love, that are clearly painstakingly written to be insert media property here, the role-playing game. Like I've played so many of them, and I say that with nothing but love, having written no less than 2 insert property here, the role-playing games. And so like those experiences of like, hey, you like this, you love the TV show Archer, you're a fan of Archer, I know this, I have talked about Archer, like, and so being like, I have a game that allows you to play an episode of Archer. Like it's a thing that I can show you, and we can have it, and it can capture that energy exactly. And like that experience is exactly how I would sell that sort of broader world of role-playing games, is saying, you're kind of already doing it. And I know this because you've talked about these experiences that you had. There are so many stories that you love that like, I think you could really like dig in and create your own stories around, or using those toolkits. And like, it's going to open up possibilities for kinds of stories that you've never even thought about playing before.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Brandon had a great comment that was, when I said magical bread and breakfast game, no less than 3 of them came to mind. I will say this. I will challenge Brandon and say this. I had a really specific one in mind, Brandon, and I need you to figure out which one I was thinking about.
So I'm going to turn that back on you. What 3 do you think he's talking about?
Oh,
you don't have to say which one was in was in your head. Brandon, still answer his question.
Okay. Magical bed and I see here. No, I can't answer that question, only because the first one that pops into my head is the one that I was thinking of. And it's clouding my view of what the other 2 could be, because like there's so obviously one specific thing that I was thinking of, and I'm trying to figure out what the other 2 are. Brandon, I need you to tell me what the 3 games that you think this could be are. This is very important to me.
Yep, I type it on in, Brandon.
This is now the most
push those algorithms
in my world.
Yep, same. We're just gonna sit here and watch.
Yeah, no, I've got nothing. Brandon. I got all the time in the world.
Yep. Wait. Come on, Brandon.
But yeah, that's pretty much my story games pitch in a nutshell. Like, I think most people are like already playing the games that they've laid out. Like, I think it is, and I think like, I think you can look at Party of One and be like, oh, I like this, I always say it's a selling point of the podcast, but really it's a selling point of indie games is like I can always say without fail, if there is a thing that you love, if there is a thing that you love, I can find you an episode of Party of One that at least gets close. And I say that as a selling point of Party of One, but the truth is that is a selling point of indie games that like if there is a kind of story or a setting or a media property or a thing that you love, I think that yeah, I can find like there is a game out there for sure that is like written not only to facilitate the kinds of stories that that thing that you love tells, but also written by somebody that deeply, deeply loves that thing that you love, right? Like, because I think that's also the other half of it. I mean, see, now you've got me gushing, and now you've got me monologuing, and I'm going, and I feel no shame.
Oh, this is why I want you here, because you can do that.
The thing is like it's half to say I'm giving you a toolkit. If you like this thing, here's a toolkit that I have designed that I think will evoke the same experience as engaging with this thing. But the other half of it is like I did that because like I love that same thing, and it is as much an act of love and passion towards whatever media property, story, experience that I'm crafting to make a thing and put it in front of you as it is for you to take it and read it and play it at your table. And so like case in point, not to make it me the most important person in the world, but
no, it's Brandon right now.
Well, Brandon is the most important because he hasn't answered the question yet.
Well, he sort of has, but he's still thinking.
All right.
Keep thinking, Brandon. You can do it.
This is great. I like torturing my dear friend. Like the thing is like to talk about my own, to bring it back to my own, to use a personal example, like Anyone Can Wear the Mask, which I talked about, was a superhero game for 1 to 3 players. That is, I've had people be like, I love superhero comics, and I'm like, play this game. Like, play this game. This game will tell a pretty good, if you use the toolkit in this game, I think you can tell a pretty amazing superhero story. But the trick of that is that I wrote it because like superheroes are my lifeblood. They have been the thing that have motivated me to tell stories and create since I was 5 years old. And they are quite literally the thing that I have a college degree in. Like they are the source of they are my educational background, right? Like, so like it is not just that I can give you a thing that captures the beats of a superhero story. It's that you're going to find a thing by someone that loves and adores superhero comics. And I think that is a beautiful part of the indie game experience, is getting to not just tell your own story in a space, but share in the sort of passion of, oh, I love this and I love this too. Like that is a beautiful and powerful thing that I think has brings a lot of energy into the world of story games. And I think it's a great part of like reading and playing and discovering all of these different things.
So I want to come back to, I'm just going to go back. What is your educational background? Because
I have a degree in superhero comics. It's my background. I have an English degree. Like I went to Ohio State for English.
Okay.
And like the concentration. So when I went, my freshman year was the year that they formally reopened the Billy Ireland comic book research library, which was at the time, it might still be the case. I don't know because it's been a number of years, but I know at the time in 20, it was the only comic book research library, like academic comic book library in the world. Like when it opened, like it was the one. And like there was a curriculum to accompany that. There was like a regular stream of comic book lit classes. So when it came time to graduate, we looked at my course load and like to determine like what my concentration in English was, and it was very obviously not just comic books but superhero comics. And so that is my degree is in, so I have a college degree in superhero comics. It is what I went to school for. It is what I studied. It is the thing that I have some degree of an authority in, as much as one can claim an authority in a thing.
Some degree of a degree. That is They just bow before the greatness.
When I talk about superheroes, I can back it up. I can back it up I can at least point to a thing and say, like, I know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah. You're an award-winning expert
Exactly.
on superheroes and eggnog.
I've got two things. I got two things in me. Those are the two things that and you know, some people are lucky to claim one thing. I've got two, and I feel very honored in that.
With a minor in pro wrestling?
I technically have been trained as a referee, but I can't actually do it because I wear glasses and like I can't see the like I would have to do contacts, and for medical reasons I can't do contacts. So I can't, if I get in the ring, I literally like I could see the wrestlers. Like I could coordinate the match. I could coordinate the match with the wrestlers themselves. But I can't like see the timekeeper or anybody like signaling things outside of the ring.
Yeah.
So if I didn't have an earpiece in and like a feed of comments going through, like I wouldn't be able to actually like run the match in the way that the referee would need to. But I did receive training as a referee. So like that is a thing that I can claim.
That's wonderful. Our paint slinger James that does our weekly miniatures podcast is also a referee for one of the leagues up here.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
He's a wonderful human being, and he also wears contacts. So yeah, no, I get that.
If I could, I would. It's a medical thing that like keeps me from being able to put a contact in my eye.
I've shot as a photographer many a wrestling show. I made the mistake beforehand one time. A wrestler was beaking off at me, and I was beaking off at them. And I could take you out in 5 seconds. And I took my camera off and rolled in. And was about to say you could probably do it in 3 and just lay down. and he just put the boots to me, and yeah, that was a mistake.
That was probably a mistake. That was probably a mistake.
It was a mistake on my, and like he got some serious crap for that. I'm like, nope, this is on me, guy.
No, I egged this on. That's on me.
Yep. I entered his space. I accept this. I accept these stitches.
I kind of knew what I was doing. It's on me.
Yeah. So Brandon's got an answer for us.
All right. We got Yazebas, we got Tranquil Coast, and we got a hack for Stew Pot. I think Stew Pot on its own is a bed and breakfast game. Like, damn it, he got me. I can't believe that Brandon, I was correctly thinking of Yazebas Bed and Breakfast by Possum Creek Games. Ashcan now available because it is probably the most bed and breakfast game because it does in fact have magical bed and breakfast in the title. But it's a good game. It is a great game, and I've played it.
And what episode number is that?
That is not out yet because the Kickstarter has not launched yet, but they will be on Party of One when the Kickstarter goes live.
Nice. And if they're watching, just shoot me a message because I want to hear about this.
Oh, I can rant about Yazebas all day. It is a great game.
Well, maybe we'll be back when that happens.
Yeah, maybe.
This is tons of fun. Yay! So, yay!
Yay!
So I'm gonna say you have to disqualify your own game from this.
Sure.
Do you have, and you can answer this in a indie and a not indie split, or just one answer? Best system for running superhero games, or best superhero game.
So you forced me to disqualify my own game, which has put me in a tough spot.
Knowing that you love all of them equally, and all the disclaimery things, because you know so many of the writers,
and knowing that because you've disqualified I have to actually think about this because you disqualified the answer that I was going to give, and I don't care what that says about me that was going to be the answer I was going to give, but gosh, I have to actually think about this. I mean, like Masks is great. Like Masks is a world-class game. Like Masks is a masterclass in Powered by the Apocalypse design. Like that is one of the best. It is the best game to evoke not just superhero comics, but like a very specific vein of superhero comics, which I think is my big theory answer. My hot take theory answer is I think the trick to a great superhero game is not to try to emulate superheroes, but to try and emulate like a specific vein of superhero story, because superhero comics are such a broad, I mean, they are an art form and a medium in their own right. And to try and emulate the whole thing is you're going to end up with the shallowest tropes and not really like get at something specific. Masks does a brilliant job at emulating very specifically teenage superhero teams and really viewing them through the lens of this is a story of teenagers trying to learn how to interact with the world, and that is kind of what makes great teen superhero stories. It's the heart of Teen Titans, it's the heart of Young Justice, it's the heart of half of the X-Men stories, like that vein of like these are young people trying to figure out a world in which there are weird rules that they don't get yet, and also they have superpowers. That is a game that does a brilliant job at that. I'm going to cheat for just a second and pull up the website because I have.
That's fair. There's so many of them. Like you're totally allowed to cheat.
I'm cheating.
Cheat.
Let me pull up my. I've got a.
Well, I'm sad you didn't bring up New Warriors. That's just gonna toss that out there.
New Warriors is pitch perfect. Exactly what I'm talking about. Like it is that teen heroes figuring out where the world they're working on. Like, and it's really a brilliantly executed thing. Like it is a brilliantly executed example of teenage superheroes, and I think it's pretty like it is a pretty phenomenal fit. I truly don't know if I've got an answer other than Masks. I think it's some of the best. Fair. I think it's some of the best superhero gameplay that's out there. There are a lot of games that I've played superhero games in, but like a game that is designed from the ground up to tell stories about superheroes and to really like put that front and center, I think Masks does it better than most. I think Masks is a masterpiece of design. Well, thank you, Brandon. Brandon says Anyone Can Wear the Mask is the best superhero game. I didn't say that, but if Brandon were to say it, I guess that is a valid point.
There you go. And he also says you're a great mask player. So you know.
Thank you. I do love playing Masks. Even though on Brandon's Masks podcast, I think I've only played Masks on like a third of my appearances, maybe a quarter. I play non-Masks games on Brandon's Masks actual play a lot more than I play Masks, which feels like it should not be the way that it is, but yet that is how it has shaken out.
That's good because he came on and did the same to you, though, didn't he? Play it wasn't one of the Christmas ones. Mm-hmm. Something he put out of his world.
It was Protean City Comics. The my favorite actual play, bar none. I would argue the best actual play. We did one of the Christmas episodes we did was a Protean City Christmas special, and it was it's a great episode, and also I get to tell people who listen to Protean City that there's a secret episode that they have to go and find. And like that's just a great experience because you can't find it on their feed. It only exists in ours, and it makes me extremely happy being like, have you heard the secret episode?
Dun dun dun.
Now we've gotten into a friend saying nice things about each other argument, so we should probably move on to something else. Otherwise, we'll be here all night.
That has been most of the last 43 minutes, but that's okay because it's
fair.
Fun.
Yeah,
and
you know?
I love Brandon. I love the episodes that you're on. So you know, I'm quite happy to have him chiming in from the peanut gallery, if you will. No, I'm not a big fan of Powered by the Apocalypse.
Really? It is a very specific thing, and it does very specific things, but I'm genuinely very curious about why. I'm going to step up for just 1 second, but I have my headphones on, so please continue to listen.
Fair enough. The only I'm hoping that this one will actually will change my mind on. I've got the Usagi Yojimbo role playing game 2nd edition.
Sure, of course.
And this one is a Powered by the Apocalypse game, and I haven't had a chance to crack it yet. So I'm really excited to see what happens with that. But I haven't had a lot of it experience. It's just I think the ones maybe the specific games that I have encountered because I did Apillion, which I enjoyed. You're playing a dragon, getting to be a dragon.
Yeah, right.
It's all sorts of fun. It's something just kind of kept pulling me out of that game. Something in just maybe it was just the way it was written. I'm not sure. Something just kept pulling me out. And the other one, big one that I've worked with was Mashed, which is not technically, the TV trademarked MASH.
An adjacent sort of story.
Exactly. And I think it's just the kind of the dark humor, the way it has to be phrased for that, because it is a little bit darker than even some of the dark parts of the TV series.
Right.
And so I think it's just been a function of the games that have been that I've
sure.
the chance to deal with in that system have kind of left a not great taste in my mouth. And it's not that I absolutely despise it or anything like that. I know it's a very well written system. I know there's tons of great games for it.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I'm really looking forward to cracking into Usagi, and I'm hoping that will change my mind about the system in general.
There are a lot of I've got if you're looking for recommendations, I've got a list of PBTA games that I love that is about a mile long.
Honestly, you played a lot of them.
I'm going to dive in and just say you should read this one off the top of my head, because we've already touched on this, and it is up your alley, and it is only slightly self-promo in that I do appear in the book. You absolutely should check out Worldwide Wrestling. It is,
okay.
I think it is a benchmark of Powered by the Apocalypse design. I think it uses PBTA in ways that are legitimately kind of groundbreaking, and it does things that I don't think any other game had really run with. It's wrestling, and it's great. And it is written by Nathan Paletta, who is a genuine, you can, I was saying, that's a perfect example of a thing that was written by somebody that truly loves the source material. And you really feel that in the book itself. You can really read through Worldwide Wrestling, and the way that the game plays and the structures that it's built, it really is built to be a love letter to professional wrestling. And also there's essays in it. And I wrote an essay about how wrestling is, how wrestling is at its heart, the world's oldest and most successful art. And I think it's an essay that I'm really proud of, and I want people to read it more.
Yep. No, I can, without even reading it, I can see that.
You get it.
I get it.
The second that I say that, the people that get it, they get it immediately.
Yep.
For the people listening, I'm going to posit a very simple thing that explains my philosophy on why professional wrestling is a LARP. It's an excerpt from the essay itself, which you should buy. It's in Worldwide Wrestling 2nd edition. But my example for this is this gets into what makes role-playing special for me, and what makes role-playing games really special is if you were to go to a production of Hamlet, and halfway through the show, when Claudius walks on stage, if somebody stood up, screamed, "You burn in hell," and threw a bottle of soda or a cup of soda at Claudius, they would be dragged out of the theater, and you would be known as, you would say after the show, well, it was fine, except for that person that ruined the evening. If that happens at a wrestling show, well, that's just made your day 10 times better. And wrestling is an art form that asks you to boo, and it makes booing one of the most genuine sources of love that you can give it. And in doing that, it is asking you to play a role and be and embody and tell a story with the people that are in the ring, and share that storytelling experience. And that is a thing that I love with all of my heart.
I love it. Yep. Now I have to get it just for that, just to read the rest of that.
It's good. It's a good essay.
Yep.
I feel really proud of it. I'm excited. I want you to read it. And I genuinely would say Worldwide Wrestling is on the short list. If you were to twist my arm and get me into a headlock and throw me over into a headlock takeover, and then I put my legs around your head and you kick out and we do the flip up, and then we're facing each other and we do that sequence, and then you demanded that I say my favorite game, Worldwide Wrestling might be the game that is on my list.
That's the strangest way to get to that answer. It's
the only appropriate way to get to that answer.
It's true. It's entirely true.
It is the only way for me to get to that answer.
Oh my goodness. I'm not cutting us off, but I want to come up because we had a giveaway.
Sure, let's do it.
So I don't want to. And we had some amazing stuff. We had Holly. Oh shoot! I'm going to bring up my thank yous now.
Holly Tech and Jolly Mancy by Alice Kira.
Yep, and we had the Christmas storytelling game.
A Christmas story game.
Or Christmas story game, sorry. And
which is also, honestly, we committed to playing that game the second that I saw the title. Like I saw the I literally what I do every November is I go onto itch.io and I go to physical games and I just search the tag Christmas and I just see what comes up. I'm like, there's got to be something that fits the show. And when I did that in, I think that was 2019, it popped up and it was like a Christmas story game. And I was like, I'm in. And then I read the description, which is quite literally, this is a game in which you tell a story about the Christmas ever through the lens of an adult looking back on their own childhood in the vein of the beloved holiday classic. I was like, this is everything that I've ever wanted in a game. It makes it, and it's real. I mean, it's good. I love a Christmas story game.
So I've got those two that we're giving away. I also have a Christmas Carol adventure, which is a 5e adventure. We actually just reviewed it. I actually got to play it. It's the first time I've played a 5th edition game since before I opened this the TheRatHole.ca. Mm-hmm. It's been a very long time since I played it, and I had a great time. So you can read that at TheRatHole.ca/Christmas for all of our Christmas reviews. As well, we've got a strangely gooey holiday from Gooey Cube, which is also 5e based, and basically it was your usual, like, share, comment on all the social medias and whatnot. And our winner was one of our newest Twitter followers, actually, Amanda Panda at Panda Hl. So I will get in touch with Amanda and we will get her some download codes for all of those things. It's gonna be great. I hope you enjoy them, and I hope you tell us if you enjoyed them, Amanda. So, yay!
Yay!
The one game that I'm sad I was not able to track down and actually connect with the creator was Secret Lives of Gingerbread Men.
I'm not surprised you weren't able to figure that out, because I've never been able to. I don't know. I honestly, I'm shocked that I found it. Somebody recommended that game to me when I was like, hey, does anybody have games that involve Christmas? And somebody was like, here's the game. Here's my PDF of the rules. And I was like, or a scan of, they sent me it wasn't even a proper digital version. They sent me a scanned PDF of them being like, I have this anthology book. It's in here. Here's the text of it. And I was like, okay, it's perfect. It's what we're going to play. But I have never, I don't know where it came. It's one of those, it's this is a thing that happens in role-playing games. And it's one of my favorite things in indie games in the world. When you find a weird thing and cannot under any circumstances find who made it, what they're up to, what the finished version of the thing looks like, and then eventually you come back to it maybe it's because it's me and I'm broken inside in a very specific way. I come back to these games months, years later, and I'll look at this and be like, I don't know where I got this. I don't know where I downloaded this game from, but it's delightful and it doesn't have someone's name on it. So I can't credit the designer, and I hope that the designer didn't turn out to be a horrible human being. But it's just this energy of I don't know where this thing came from. And there's this incredible kind of culture in role-playing games that I think is probably going away with the prevalence of places like itch.io and storefronts and things like that, of just weird games that you find, just weird games that appear on the internet. And there was for a very long time, and I don't know if it will continue to exist, and I hope it does because it fills my heart with joy, a weird culture of found object role-playing games, of you find a PDF on a website that's this is a game, this is this game, this is my game, and it's okay, I don't know who this person is, I don't know where this game is, I don't know if I can support this person in any way, but I have this thing, and eventually I will come back to it and be like, this is a really fun and neat design. And it's just an object that I own. It's just a weird PDF that I own of Rob Liefeld 90s comic book themed role playing game. And I don't know where I got it, but it exists in the world.
I was able to find out a little bit more than that, at least.
All right, good. Because that is.
I'm going to show everybody here. So this is I tried to do a screen share, and
the cookie sheet. I love it. I love it.
That is your character.
Mm-hmm.
But it is. I almost found the I do have it. It's Annie Rush. Is who it is, and I think I found a post this game Etsy store of her doing something else, but it was also some kind of closed. So I sent a message and never got anything back. So it's like, but if you can find it, and it is available, you can get it, I think, on print on demand and a nicely done PDF. They do exist out there in publishing world.
Good. That makes me happy.
Definitely, people go find that. It's a ton of fun.
Go find it and buy it. It's a wonderful game. It made me really happy.
And if you're around PAX Unplugged, I'm just going to throw this up. I'm going to be hanging around at booth 3336, and we might just have some meeple-shaped cookie cutters.
Ooh.
That should be available. That would work very well for that game.
That would work very well with that game.
So come. If nothing else, come say hello to me over at the Steeped Games booth, because I'm going to help them out. But yeah, meeple gingerbread man, not just your standard. Who don't love that?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, there's my my plug for my boss. All right, got to pay the bills.
Got to pay the bills.
Exactly. So yeah, this has been a ton of fun.
That's been a blast and a half.
I think we could probably go on and just keep rambling for a couple more hours, but
just go. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that, eventually people will want to not do that. I have done that. I did one on mental health with the Diversely Geek, and we went on for like 2 hours, and I had to cut it short because I'm just like, we can't.
I just gotta. Yeah, you're at a certain point.
It's all on mental health.
I have to stop this.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this. I'm not Dream SMP. All right, I'm not Rainbow. I'm not gonna be able to stream for 10 hours. If nothing else, this isn't Twitch. I don't think YouTube will let me do 10 hours.
I'm sure they would.
Live stream.
I'm sure they would. And honestly, there's only one way to find out.
It's true. I say, hey Jeff, you should do this.
Yeah.
That's the one way to do it.
Yeah. Not wrong.
All right. So, but I think we'll sort of move this towards a closing. Let me bring up all of your 500,000 sites.
I got a
Why
bunch
don't you
of
tell us exactly? Just again, let everyone know who might have tuned in a little bit late. Where can we find you? Regularly, next, anything you want to promote, all of that, good self-promotion stuff.
Of course. My name is Jeff Stormer. I am a podcaster, game designer, and the official LARP designer of the Olive Garden restaurant, as well as a world authority on eggnog and all related matters. You can find my podcast, Party of One, at partyofonepodcast.com. That is a 2-player role-playing game, actual play podcast. You can find my other show, All My Fantasy Children, which is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast powered by listener prompts at oneshotpodcast.com. You can find Talking Nog, which is my once-a-year eggnog podcast, at talkingnog.pinecast.co. And you can find the games that I've designed, including Anyone Can Wear the Mask, at jeffstormer.itch.io. Or you can just go to jeffstormer.com that has all of those things in one easy place. Or you can follow me on Twitter at PartyOfOnePod.
Which, of course, I didn't put in as a banner.
I probably forgot.
Host.
Because I probably forgot to send it to you.
Well, I mean, it's not like I don't already follow you there.
It's also a fair point.
So it's like, I'm a bad host. Bad.
It's all good.
All right. So let me just bring up all of the people I got to thank, because there's always a ton of them here. There we go. And then we go like this. Don't go anywhere, Jeff. So I definitely want to thank the 427s, whose amazing music you're going to hear in a second at the end, and also heard at the beginning of the show. Geekorama.net, where I got my start. They co-broadcast this through their site. Ragin, who is letting us use their StreamYard. Of course, Jeff, Party of One. Verge Games, Magical Girl Kira, Kinematic Cafe Gooey Cube for the amazing prize pack that we've got given away to Amanda. There's some of the beautiful covers and artwork. I after how many years of this, you think I'd remember how to do that? Right here.
It is the bane of my
backwards.
existence. It's the bane of my existence. Is that backwards camera?
Watching on The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, we're constantly doing that because we got like 6 of us up there quite often. And it was like, and you.
It's over here. It's somewhere. It's there. It's over here.
All right, but there we go. And if you want to help find us, we do have a link tree. So linktr.ee/TheRatHole.ca. So you can find, up until now, you would have been able to find all of our entries to the contest, which will come down, but you'll still be able to find all of our social media, our YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube. I desperately need a couple more people. I think I need like 30 more to get to the next step of the YouTube evolution of any page. So yes, thank you to all those people. Just a less goofy note. It is Christmas season. It's hard for a lot of people. So if you have the ability, go help somebody, whether that's with your time, whether that's with a donation. I'm not going to put it up here. Maybe I'll go back in and put it in the show notes after. It's not really Christmas for me until I see the Santa's Anonymous commercial from 6:30 Ched, because they had a brilliant story commercial. It's about 5-6 minutes long. So I'll probably go seek that out after this, but you should too. Yeah, so be kind to each other, do all the great things. Jeff, I want to give you the last word, because having given the serious thing, you have the most wonderful ending of the show, so I think we will leave the last word to you.
Of course. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance. And as always, party on, everybody.
Until next time, good gaming and goodbye.